Hey, Bethlehem, this is Pastor Paul. And as you know, we've been reading this book, the story. We've been using the story for two reasons. The first reason is because we want to have a good understanding of what the Bible is all about. So often when we come to the Bible, we take a lot of New Testament and a little bit of Old Testament, and we don't necessarily get a unified vision of what the Bible is truly all about. Remember that the Bible is one unified story that points to Jesus. The Old Testament points forward to Jesus. The New Testament points back to Jesus. And it lets us know what God is doing in this world through Jesus and the hope that we have in Jesus. The second reason we're using the story is to develop in our lives the habit of regularly reading our Bibles. We believe that the Bible is God's word, that it's his gift to his people, and that to be good stewards of this gift, that we need to read it, study it, discuss it, apply it to our lives. And so by going through the story, we want to develop that pattern in our lives, that we are that we're being good stewards of this wonderful gift that God has given to us. Now, this past week, we looked at chapter 16, the beginning of the end. And this dealt with passages from 2 Kings and the prophet Isaiah. And it tells us about the fall of the northern kingdom of Israel, the 10 tribes of northern Israel. And what we learn here is that God is faithful. Remember, God is a covenant maker. He's a covenant keeper. He is faithful to his covenant. And one part of the covenant is the blessings and the curses, that God promises that when his people keep the terms of the covenant, they will be blessed. But if they don't keep those terms of the covenant, they will experience these curses. And God is very clear that by not keeping the terms of the covenant, they will experience oppression, that they will be conquered, that they will be exiled from the land. And what we see so far is that Israel, time and time again, goes and they, rather than be God's separate people, they fit into the nations around them. They practice idol worship. And God warns them, and he warns them, and he warns them, and they continue it. And so God brings in the Assyrian Empire and conquers them. So in this, we see that God is faithful to his covenant. And because he's faithful to his covenant, there will be justice. And so the Assyrians come, they defeat Israel, and they remove Israel from the land. They take Israel and they put them throughout their empire, making them intermarry with these other people. And they bring in foreign people into the land. And those who are left are forced to intermarry with these people. And so you basically lose these 10 northern tribes of Israel. They go away. So there is this act of justice that God brings. But because God is faithful, there's also hope. And so we see hope because there's this king called Hezekiah in Judah. And because of his faithfulness, God stops Assyria at their borders. There's hope because there's the promise of restoration. God says, even though you're going to go into exile, I'm going to bring you back, and Jerusalem will once again be populated. There's hope because there's the forgiveness of sins. See, God is patient with his people. He wants them to follow him. So here's our big idea this week. God's people need to remember, even in God's justice, there is hope. Even in God's justice, there is hope. We need to hold on to that hope. And our challenge this week is to ask God to reveal any idols that we have in our lives and then work on removing them. We may not worship statues of gold and silver and metal and wood, but we do have idols. We do have those things that we worship in place of God. So let's ask God to reveal those and then work on getting them out of our lives. Hey, thank you for being part of Bethlehem. Remember to continue to give. You can give online. You can send your tithe, your offering here. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and God bless.